All right, hello everyone. We will go ahead and get started. Welcome to the final event for this series of roundtables, virtual roundtables, surrounding an exhibit that we have for just a few more days here at the museum. So the exhibit, if you haven't joined us for a previous event, is called 40 Chances, Finding Hope in a Hungry World. And it features the photography of Howard Buffett, including 40 photographs that document the world hunger crisis as part of a global awareness campaign. And its last day here at the museum is Sunday already. It went by very quickly. As a part of this project, if you haven't heard, Buffett traveled to more than 137 different countries as a part of the project, resulting in this exhibit, which is divided into 7 sections that outline additional forces that contribute to hunger. So we are here for the final event today to talk about the last section, which is entitled Hope. And this series was really designed to kind of bring in local voices, even local voices who work on a more national stage, to give an idea of things that we're dealing with here locally, but also local organizations and companies who are working around the world. So we are joined today by 3 of the previous panelists to talk about this final section. Just a quick programming note, Dr. Eric Meyer did have a kind of a last minute emergency pop up, and so he's very sorry he couldn't join us today. But we have 3 wonderful representatives from, I believe, 1 from each. We are missing, Eric was going to be our representative for the second event. So, but we do have folks joining us from the other 2 panels. So I know some of the people watching have been with us for previous events, and we will post a recording of this. So there's definitely other folks who will get to see it afterwards. And so I do just want to still start with asking each of our panelists to do an introduction. You're welcome to talk a little bit about your organization, even if some of the folks watching maybe were at a panel that you participated in. We still want to kind of set the tone for who we have joining us today. So I think we'll go ahead and start with Cincy, who is with Hope Venture.
Yeah, hi. I am actually going to hop right into a video. Last week I showed a PowerPoint, but I thought maybe since we might have some repeaters, or just to kind of share a little different thing, and I want to hop right into that. So I'm going to share my screen and then pull this up and see if we can get a video going for you. Let me know if that's not working. Just interrupt, because I don't want you to see something that's not passing through.
Moments, perhaps simply just segments of time, slices out of the collective whole of life. Yet perhaps they are what build, what create, what shape the future. This world can be a harsh place. I remember walking through the streets of India, seeing children living in trash heaps. The stench was overwhelming and the flies were swarming. I remember driving down long, dusty roads through the barren lands of Kenya, only to arrive at an isolated home made of stick and mud, meeting parents who needed to provide for their children, but just couldn't. I remember one moment, stepping onto a train in southern India. Looking out the window, I saw a mom, and I was a mom. She walked with her 3 kids and stopped next to a murky puddle. I watched her reach down and scoop dirty water, serving them one by one. It broke my heart. It still does. What if that was all I had to give to my kids? It was just a moment, but it changed me forever. Hi, my name is Cincy. I grew up in upstate New York, the youngest of 6 kids. And I was a nice person. My friends told me I was nice. I thought I was nice. But when I was 21, I encountered this God who was pursuing me and lavishing me with this incredible and amazing love. And he swept me off my feet. And I know this doesn't make sense to everybody, but a deep, deep love began to grow in me. Much more than just being nice. Over the next 20 years, my husband and I met people, we read, we traveled, we learned, and we saw some of the most devastating circumstances we could imagine. Things that weren't fair. Some of the poorest people in the world, the uneducated, the hungry, the sexually mistreated, the orphan, the widow, the hurting. Meanwhile, God was burdening me to care, to behave compassionately, to not say, come back tomorrow, but today to respond to the needs around me while I have the opportunity. And it was teaching me that I had something to offer. And so in 2009, I just said, okay, that's it, really. God was leading. I was just a normal person taking the next step into that moment of opportunity. The Hope Venture began as a burden to simply respond and bring whatever we could to the table. And what could we bring? Something different. A complement to efforts already being made. Years of trusted relationships with local, national leaders who would lead out in India, Kenya, and Uganda. Tangible opportunities that anyone could help with. Transparency and integrity so you would know right where your money is going. A background in education, a plea to improve health, and a fun, generous culture that would be created to bring hope and dignity to the most disadvantaged people in the world. We got advice, and we read How to Start a Nonprofit for Dummies. We formed a board, we hired lawyers, and we launched a 501c3 nonprofit. We got furniture donated, and my friend let us use her basement for 5 years to help us keep costs down. We scribbled names and ideas out on napkins and sticky notes. We drank coffee, we Skyped, we prayed, and more people started to become us. We're based in Lincoln, Nebraska, with people from over 30 states and with trusted leaders from overseas. We are teachers, baristas, toothless third graders, broke college kids, soccer moms, and hotel owners. We have a unique 100% financial model that never takes a percentage of your project donations for administrative use, and we value people and restore dignity to those who can't find it. Today, God is still leading. We have made it our regular practice to fall before Him and seek Him, to listen and respond to His call. We're helping educate and train thousands of people in India, Kenya, and Uganda. And we're bringing clean water and food to those who desperately need it. It's simply a practice of stepping into the moments we have to help lives find hope. We believe moments are what build, what create, and what shape the future. We invite you to join that adventure. Let's help lives find hope together.
So I just wanted to share that with you. That's what we do. And certainly this topic is right up our alley because we're working with bringing hope to the most disadvantaged people in the world every day. So thanks for allowing us to be a part of it.
Great, thank you so much. Let's see, let's go to Carolina. She is with the Intercultural Senior Center and joined us last week for our panel on women in poverty. Carolina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of remind us who the Intercultural Senior Center is, what you're all about?
Sure. After seeing that video from Cincy, it's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So congratulations, you have an amazing organization, and the difference that you're making in the world is not just in one place. And I understand it completely because I come from one of those countries, where there's a lot of poverty, but yeah, so I'm so overwhelmed and impressed. So congratulations. And it touches hearts too,
Thank you very much, Caroline.
Yeah. So, it's, I wish I would have shared with you a video about ISC, and it's been a very busy week here with a lot of stuff, but yeah, should have done and think about it. But so my name is Carolina Padilla with Intercultural Senior Center. I'm the founder of this organization in 2009, and I think for me was the special attachment and care that I felt for seniors, all seniors in the community, and that I realized that with many wonderful organizations in Omaha, there was nothing that was caring for the aging community, and not just for those who were aging, but those who were upcoming in years. And and be more open and understanding that the age, it doesn't affect just one group, but it's all of us in the world. And so that's how Intercultural Senior Center was created. And I've been 13 years working in what I do, and I love what I do. I just really care. And I think our organization has grown little by little in just getting that experience of learning about the needs are, and that's what we've been adding to our organization. The beginning was more how to provide a meal site and some programs as, keep busy seniors were learning the English language, or, being more active and exercising and doing crafts and all kinds of things. But as time went by, the organization overgrow by serving other populations, which is a refugee community in Omaha. And we started to see more of the English speakers coming to ISC. And so our model has changed a little bit, but it is mainly because of the transportation services that we provide on a daily basis, which 95% of our seniors come in our own transportation. We have the meals and social services, educational programs, health and wellness and activities. And now we're stepping up and taking medical support, medical care. So meaning that we help seniors to get to doctor's appointments and get their medications and provide transportation service to them, so they don't have to struggle with that, since our transportation system is not, as good as we would like to, but also the weather that we live into, with extreme temperatures, if it's so hot or so cold, it's hard for seniors to get out of their homes. So we have, we have all those kind of programs and services. They're here, but they change on a regular basis too, depending on what the need of the seniors are. I just hope in my heart that this organization will continue to grow. We're not forever people in a place. And so what I'm just trying to do every day is to make more, to build on capacity, to offer more and more programs, more services, and serve more seniors, which is a bigger need. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Frances Hayes, who's with the Daugherty Water for Food Global Institute. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Abby. Like she mentioned, my name is Frances Hayes. I'm the Director of Communications and Public Relations here at the Daugherty Water for Food Global Institute. You may or may not have heard of us. We're a part of the University of Nebraska, and we're located in Lincoln, Nebraska. We have kind of a global mission and a local mission, and that's to have a lasting and significant impact on more food security with less pressure on water resources. So that translates to all sorts of different things and different projects. So we do this through scientific and policy research. We engage a lot with farmers and policymakers and different organizations or companies that relate to our mission, and then we share this knowledge to instigate change. So we're always a little bit of the outlier on these webinars since we're research focused. So I deal with, I don't personally do research, but dealing with a lot of academics and journal articles and things like that, but also trying to make sure that those resources are getting used and getting out there so that we can really kind of change the game.
Thank you. Yeah, one thing I loved about this series is we really, I think, ended up with a nice combination of folks who are maybe a little bit more behind the scenes or kind of the research side of it. And then, really the folks kind of on the front lines of the hunger crisis as well. So I'm really grateful for everybody's time, and especially for you all for joining us a second time this month, because I know you are very busy, I'm sure. So we will go ahead and jump in. Those of you that have joined us or watched previous videos, you can actually see my face today because I'm in my office, so I could take my mask off. Instead today I'm going to screen share images of the photos that are in the exhibit. I shared with our panelists, but the section of the exhibit is kind of right by the door, so I just knew there might be a little more traffic. So I thought I would just stay in the comfort of my office today. So let me go ahead and share an image here that has all of the photos from this section of the exhibit. So this section is titled Hope. It is intended as kind of the conclusion of the exhibit. And as I have with the other panels, I'll go ahead and start by just kind of reading to you what the exhibit and Howard Buffett had to say about this section. So it describes the hope section this way. Around the world, individuals and organizations are using their 40 chances to fight hunger, poverty, violence, and oppression. Farmers get tools and training to improve their crops and the environment. Drought-stricken communities are provided with access to safe drinking water. Refugees return home to rebuild their lives after decades of war. And girls receive an education and a route out of poverty. And then this is actually a quote directly from Mr. Buffett. He says, "What keeps me going is the knowledge that people living in these difficult circumstances do not have the option of giving up. They will keep fighting to survive, so we cannot give up on them." And so I have up close versions of any of the images that we want to highlight, but we'll just kind of go through in that same order. So Cincy, if you want to start and share with us the image in this section that kind of stood out to you, and I'll share that.
Yeah, I think it was the girl in that lower, or the group of girls in that lower corner that you had there. And if you want to pull that up, the reason I was drawn to this photo a little bit is I think, we've been talking about poverty and hunger and water and women and fear and all those different things and mistreatment. But I think this photo depicted for me, it doesn't wait until they get out of all those situations. To me, I look at this group and they're still crowded together. They're still waiting for something, maybe education, maybe food, whatever that they're eager for right there. But there's hope in their eyes in the sense that, we don't get to pick our circumstances sometimes, but when you can bring hope to someone, and obviously whoever's in this room with them is bringing them a little bit of hope, and it makes all the difference. Obviously I run an organization called the Hope Venture. I've got hope behind me in this sign. I mean, I really feel like when a person loses hope, that's when they really go down, but when they can have hope, even though their circumstance can't fully get repaired, it's not like any of our organizations fix everything about every life. Even here in Omaha or Lincoln or wherever, we all have struggles and we have different things that we face. And certainly over there's different things that they face. But if they can have hope in the midst of it, then they can have some ability to overcome it, some ability to carry on. And I think these opportunities of education and things that we bring to them are just a glimpse of, can we bring you a little bit of hope so you'll have the will to carry on? And I think that's what he caught in this photo to me, even with the sunlight kind of coming into that. I think it's a beautiful picture of hope doesn't radically change everything about all of us, but hope comes in the midst of our circumstances. We're still the same people, and they're just like us. They have their own fears, they have their own wants and desires. These are kids and adults that are just wanting life to be okay, like all of us. And it's a reminder that we don't fix every circumstance, but hope does change things, and it's a beautiful thing. And so that's why I like this photo.
Thank you. Let's see, Carolina, is there a photo that kind of stood out to you and you'd like to offer some reflections on? Oh, you're muted.
For me, was the boy from Nicaragua, where what it says is that they have been able to improve their coffee productions and to be more sustainable. But when I see this kid, it's like he is so small, and I am sure 100% that he's part of that labor to pick up the coffee grains. And it's, it's great that people, probably their dad, probably most likely, family were accomplishing things, but the hope for this child is what will be in his life? Will he be just in the harvest every year and not being able to, maybe wanted to go to school or finish the school, but sometimes financial problems stop kids to get educated, and they have to do what they have to do to survive. So it's for me, in his face, you can see that in his eyes, that sadnesses, but at the same time, light, that hopefully by now he is a person who has overpassed some of those obstacles that maybe his parents had to be where they are right now. Hopefully, hopefully that nothing went backwards, but that everything is better for them. And I always think that if children in general in the world don't have that support of education, hopes goes away. And if they don't have, again, that support, people or children get to find other ways to become more, individuals of this world in a defense way. And they might be the greater kids, but if they don't have a light in their lives, something to go for, things work the other way. And that's how we see how in our society, how children become more exposed to be explored or explode or get in trouble, in general, so many things that happen on a daily basis. So I just, looking at him again, it's just like, I hope that he was part of that harvest, but at the same time, he had a chance to go to school and become someone they can in the future grow that small farm that mom and dad might have, or perhaps got a chance to go to school and be out and be able to help others.
Thank you. Frances, I think the same photo kind of stood out to you, which is really interesting because this photo is, with a photography exhibit, the museum always gets a handful of kind of the most maybe notable or recognized photos to use for press images. And this photo is actually one of them. So it's interesting that this one resonated with you all so much too.
Yeah, I'm going to start by reading the caption too, as I did last time, because I think that helps us maybe understand a bit too of what Buffett was seeing when he took the picture. And I'm probably going to mess up this name, so my apologies, but Justo Angel Torres Diaz and his family have been able to improve their coffee production methods through support for more sustainable practices, said Buffett. And this was taken in Nicaragua. And I think the reason this photograph spoke to me is because it reminds me of the end goal of what we do at the Institute. I mentioned we do a lot of research. And so unlike maybe others here, we're not always seeing that end goal of why we're doing what we're doing. It also can take a lot of time. So we don't get to see maybe the final result of the research. Sometimes it can take years or decades for what we do to implement change. But in the end, it's people like this boy that we're trying to impact and change generations and make things more sustainable, more productive, that sort of thing. So in 2019, I had an opportunity to travel to Rwanda. Of course, it was pre-pandemic then. That's where a lot of our work is focused, and the university does a lot of work there as well. So it was just really amazing to see how impactful to the community something as simple as access to a tractor could be. As mentioned, this boy likely probably did a lot of the harvesting himself and things like that. And it can be really eye-opening to see how something that we see as so commonplace here in Nebraska is a huge game changer for a small farmer in Rwanda. And it was just really interesting also to see how they came up with their own systems to share equipment, or came up with a business model to rent out the equipment because they have a limited amount of it, and just kind of made it work for everyone. There's things like shared center pivot irrigation systems where your 6 farmers go in on it together, and each one of them has a slice of land in this center pivot circle, or a bicycle powered diesel pump that curious kids are powering instead of using the diesel, so some of those things work and some things don't, but it's just really interesting to see how they innovate to solve problems in the community. And I think a lot of this does come from the younger generations that are like looking for different ways to do things. So when I look at the photo of this boy, I just wonder how we can take his story and scale it to have even more stories like his of maybe increasing the coffee production, having it be more sustainable. And we at the Institute often get into the weeds of research and data and models and processes. But if we stand back and look, we're really looking to impact lots of people across generations all over the world, and also here at home, because we do a lot of work in Nebraska as well. And especially recently, we've seen how interconnected our world is, and the food and water are no exception. So things like severe weather, climate change, and food systems affect everyone, whether here in Nebraska or Nicaragua. So it's kind of finding these things that do work and then bringing them to scale. And so I think that's why I chose this picture.
Thank you. If you all don't mind, I actually want to show one more photo, and if anybody wants to say anything, you're more than welcome. But this one, since this is our last section, I wanted to try to show a few of the photos, and I want to share this one with you because I'm our director of education here, but I'm also a former classroom teacher. And when we look at the ties this exhibit has to local issues, I think, hunger in children is one that probably resonates with anybody in the world, but especially a former classroom teacher, because you see it every day. And this was taken in 2007 in Tajikistan, and it's a girl eating a meal at school. And Tajikistan is Central Asia's poorest country, the label says. And it also references, at least at the time the exhibit was created, which is a few years ago, that worldwide about 59 million primary school age children attend school hungry. I feel like it's probably a safe bet that number has only gone up during the pandemic. We know that there's been huge effects there. And this one really resonated with me because this is, there's a lot of organizations doing really, really great things to try to help the school systems, and school systems trying to do things. But as a classroom teacher, this is just something I saw every single day that really resonated with me. All right. It sounds like the image maybe wasn't showing up, so I'll just share and make sure that that shows up. That's the image I was referencing. There's several other images in this section. We can always kind of come back to that, but I do want to kind of make sure we have time in this last panel presentation for a couple of additional questions. These are really heavy topics. I think I started by saying that in the first panel we did. And so ending on this note of hope and where we are seeing hope and maybe even can look for hope is kind of a nice note to end on. So I have two questions for the panel, and I'll start by we can kind of go in the same order there. But the question is, what is your organization doing to inspire hope in the communities that you work with? And anything you can kind of share related to that. So we'll start with Cincy again.
Yeah, I think for us, we kind of see our role as helping people really understand they can make a difference and bring hope to people, and that fills them with hope. And for example, this week yesterday talked with a gal who's in 8th grade, and she's wanting to start a club in her school about like hunger and poverty and these issues, you know, to help people make a difference. And I spoke last week at a middle school in our public school system here in Lincoln last week to 200 kids, and got the opportunity to remind them, hey, you know, I've seen middle schoolers start a feeding center in India and it's still going today. And that was years ago. And you guys can do the same thing. And they're starting to get this vision, or I just think we have a responsibility, if we know ways people can find hope, and we know ways we can help that, to share that with people and with each other. And, you know, for us, we're trying to do that with young people. You know, I think when I maybe got involved with this, and I didn't anticipate getting involved with this, I was a high school math teacher out of college. But I just saw the need more and more and realized, okay, I'm an ordinary person, but I can do something. And I think to inspire ordinary people around you that there's global issues that we can make a difference in now that the world is smaller, and give people purpose and hope in that. I think there's tons of ways we can build that hope in people. And I guess one short story I'd share too, of just, you know, again, along this idea that you don't have to do everything to bring hope to somebody. Like, so there was a gal that was a meth addict, and her daughter became a meth addict. And I knew the family, and the daughter, and her, like, she's like 16 or 17 in different foster care homes because her mom couldn't care for her. And she's been suicidal. She's reached out to me then, but this one particular time she reached out to me, and she was back in drugs, but she didn't know what to do. And yeah, I said, do you want to get together at McDonald's and just talk? Because she had called me or something. I said, yeah, could we? Or so I meet her there, and she's just kind of looking skinny and not well. And I'm like, do you want a drink, you know? And could I have a drink? Yeah, you can have do you want a burger and fries or something? Is that okay? Yeah, like, yeah, you can have a burger, like, let's sit down. And so I bought her a meal, and we sit down and talk. And, you know, I think for that moment, I brought her hope. Did I get her out of the drug situation? To be honest, not fully. It wasn't probably until she got pregnant and then tried to clean up her life. I think she's sober right now, but, you know, I didn't fix everything. But for that moment, I think just the reminder that, like, people need that hope in that moment, in that minute. And it did matter. And to sit down with her and give her a Coke and a meal actually makes a difference in people's lives. And the more we do that, I think it matters. And so we all have opportunities to do that where we live today, all the time, in Omaha and Lincoln. And then we have opportunity to do that around the world and feel purpose and joy in that. And I think it matters. So that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Carolina?
Yes. So our hope in our IAC organization is that people will recognize more that people of age need help. You know, it doesn't happen. You know, no one advocates for people of age. You know, I think we in general, we wanted to, I mean, people of age are becoming every day more invisible. So we don't want it to recognize that we have a mom and dad or someone that is getting old. We don't want to give into that hope of you can have still a better life. You can still be part of a group of people. They're happy that they can have a great conversation so they can share who they did, or perhaps not as good things in life, but they can find others similar to them and build the best maybe relationship they ever had. I think hope is for all age groups. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a small kid or you're an older person. You know, we're always hoping for the best. And I think for the aging communities, you know, they hope maybe to find a reasonable apartment or house where to live, or maybe that they can have food on the table, because many of them, cannot have enough income to even pay for medication, good food, or a house, a roof where to live at. And that's all things that we see here every single day. And it's so important also that if your mental health is not there, there is no hope for them to look for the tomorrow. And unfortunately, we don't have life in our hands to say, I'm going to live this far. It's just God who has us in his wish list, and when is the time for us to be on this earth. And so as humans, I think that we hope every day for something different. And so for ISC, the hope is people in the community will recognize more that there's a lot of us aging, every day. We cannot stop that. And I just want to share with you that something that happened to the experience that I got with someone who used to be on my board. And she shared with me that she stepped in a restaurant here in Omaha and waiting for to sit, and she was by herself. And then there was a family behind her, and then the host at the restaurant kind of ignored her and moved her hand on the side and say, how many? And she ignored completely that she was standing on line. And she said to me, and I never felt so invisible in my life. It just really touched me when she said that, because we were not talking about a person that didn't dress well, that she looked different. She was a presentable person, but she just was ignored because of her age. And so this is the hope for us always, every day, is advocate and speak for all seniors. They need the respect, they need dignity, and the hope for a better tomorrow.
Thank you. Frances.
Yeah. So I think, at least from the Institute standpoint, our version of hope is a little bit different than the other groups here today. But I think that it's equally important as well. It's kind of the bigger picture hope. And we need those on the ground impacting individuals. And we also need big ideas that can be scaled to make big change, whether that's through widespread adoption or by farmers or large companies and things like that. So I think little changes can be life-changing for individuals, like Cincy was talking about. But I think little changes can also make a big impact when we can bring them to scale and repeat them over and over again. So for example, if we could show that we can produce the same amount of food on a field, but reduce water from irrigation here in Nebraska by, say, 1 liter each season, we can scale that to all the fields. And then that's kind of a really big impact as far as sustainability goes. So especially considering we have, I think, about 10 million acres of irrigated land here in Nebraska. And I realize I'm diverging a little bit from the hope, but I think I'm pulling from the hunger and water themes here. So that would translate to about 2.5 million gallons of water each year. So, and I think even a smaller amount would be significant, but from the Institute, we have to have the research to show when that type of thing makes sense and when it doesn't, and when other factors play into the equation. And so I think for us, the hope is that we can make an impact in the world and have a better world and take better care of our planet, and also impact people in other countries. That a little bit goes a long way, I think. So it kind of makes me think again about Rwanda in terms of right now, a lot of the farmers are smallholder farmers, we call them, and they don't farm a lot of land. And so what they're farming is what they eat for their family. But if we could do certain things to add a growing season or help them get water from here to there or different things like that, that we're researching, we can give them crops that they can actually sell and make some money, and maybe allow kids to go to school or better schools or things like that. So I think that's the hope, I guess, for the Institute when I'm thinking about what our research intends to do in the very long term.
Thank you. So kind of on the flip side of that, you know, that's what you all are doing to try to inspire hope and give hope to others. What gives you hope? What are you seeing in the community, especially after everything we've all been through, you know, the last almost 2 years now? What keeps you going every day and you know, signs of hope that you've seen? Cincy, you want to start again?
Sure, I can start. I was trying to figure out the difference between your two questions. They seem that similar to me. So but yeah, what gives me hope? I think, you know, for me, I get to go overseas, and we're still going overseas. We're getting things blocked because of COVID and not going everywhere, but we are still going overseas. And whether it's Rwanda, I went to last year, or Kenya or Uganda recently. India is blocked right now, but even in there, we have local partners that are still working. And I think when COVID hit, you know, a lot of the world, we backed up, and I don't remember if I shared this last week or where I've been sharing this recently, but I was thinking about how we all kind of stepped back and said, well, does it matter what I do day to day? Can I just work remotely and not go to work or not go to school? Or does it matter that I go to school? Am I essential? Am I not essential? And I don't like working remotely, or I do work remotely well, or whatever, you know, and we all just kind of grapple these weird issues in 2020. And I think for us, when poverty's been going down and then all of a sudden extreme poverty starts to go up because of COVID, I think for me as a getting older leader, like getting older in my life and realizing if I don't step up now, who does step up? Like, we're all just crumbling apart and getting mad at each other and whatever. Like, if I don't rise up and be the leader that I'm supposed to be right now, when am I going to be a leader? And I just felt more impassioned than ever to stop the poverty, from the extreme poverty, from not being an issue, and going after it all the more and telling our staff, like, we've got work to do. Like, there are lives that don't have food right now overseas, and they are not being educated for a year on end or whatever. And I feel really passionate about how COVID has struck our, not only local communities, which mental health, somebody was talking last week about that. And I think we're to see the ramifications of that, but overseas, the food scarcity and the lack of education that's just stalled out for a year and a half. I think we're really going to see some, in the isolation, some devastating consequences of that. And I think now I do feel hopeful that I see our organization making a difference of that. I see other organizations making a difference in that. And I see people here getting excited about that. We're finding ways to get, you know, whether it's a hotel owner that wants to build a school over there, or whether it's a young kid that wants to have a competition to raise $20,000 in a day, or whatever it is. We've seen people, and that's inspiring to me. I think it's not just me. I've watched people continue to rally around, like, COVID might have knocked us down, but it's not going to stop us. We're going to keep fighting to bring better, to bring hope into people's lives and to make the world better because we were in it. So I think, yeah, I'm really inspired and hopeful that we can continue to make a difference.
It's definitely been a time of making sure you celebrate the little wins if you haven't had a big one in a while.
Sure.
Carolina?
Well, I think that 2 years ago, we talk about 2020 was, I think it was a shock for every person in the world. It was not just us here. It was every person who was conscious about a little bit about what was happening, that we didn't know what was happening. And I think we don't understand, how things is moving forward. But I recall, 2 years ago when everything started to shut down, and my mind is like, why do we have to shut down? I mean, I don't get it, more than, people were not coming to ISC, but I just thought that we needed to find a way to, to pivot our services, to continue to support people, especially with food, because people were not heading out. And my staff was so worried because the word was here out already that people were going to lose their jobs, and for us working from home was going to be impossible. But we made it in a way that we were busier than ever. We found a niche to serve more people than we ever imagined. And that was with delivery of food to the doorsteps of seniors that reach out to ISC like never before. We were delivering over 2,000 bags of food on a monthly basis, in short of donations, and, for us buying and where we could and sending what we could find. And so I think that was a great experience, but it made us realize that food insecurity in general, but mostly in this population that we serve is high. And I think that affects more to women, because there is more women than men. They are alone. So I think that hunger goes not just in children. It's been my fight all the time, well, it's just kids who go hungry. We need to do this because children. And no. I think people of age become children too. They have those special needs too, family support, a safe place to live, not be so lonely, and have food on the table. And because many times they have health conditions that require to have food, because the medications they take, and if they don't have food, it doesn't improve their health and mental health. And so I think that this is something like, since you were saying, that we were moving forward with poverty, trying to improve that, and now we went backwards, because still today people are afraid to go out. There's many people who are not doing it. They're just staying in, and it is so hard to help a person that way, and it's difficult too for us as organizations to be able to provide what probably we were providing, and we just became so creative and see how we can support others or people. And even today for us is a big concern, the socialization, because people are in their homes, they don't go out much, and they started to come out again, and then with the changes, people again isolated. And so of course we talk about education, in that age group. For us, it doesn't fall much into, but just in food insecurity, in medical care, and housing, making sure they still people have a safe place to live, and continue to push for that socialization, because without it, people not even have their family support because they cannot see each other. So I do believe that all those areas that, even though we live in this world, in this country, in this society, people goes hungry, they have fears, there's poverty in our communities, and there's a lack of not support, but I think a lack of understanding that there's hope where we can improve in certain ways our life, especially for younger generations. We have seen grandparents here who are dying to get a little job or do something to help their families and support their families, because they live in multi-generational houses. especially for the Latino and the refugee community. They live all together and they just want to give back. They just want to be part of that. So there is not much struggles in the houses. And of course, that age group is different. It's more difficult because the technology is not there, because it's hard for them. But still, there's that hope for them that they can at least help someone, or there's hope for them that things will get better, and hope for them to find a safe place many times to live. So I think that regardless where we are or what we do, we have been organizations and our families or people we know have been affected, and we just have to, I think, not lose track of the future, and that all this happened for a reason, and have hope for a better days. That's what I can share.
Awesome, thank you. Frances?
Yeah, I think I find a lot of hope in students and young people. I'm not in that group anymore. But I, especially, working at the University of Nebraska and seeing kind of what the students are doing, students in other places at other colleges and universities, and just the excitement, excuse me, and how eager they are to take on challenges, and thinking that they can solve this, and taking that on, especially as it relates to hunger and clean water. And I think it can get really easy to get jaded when you see all these big problems around the world, or problems in Nebraska with our drinking water that have just persisted for decades, and we've been working on them, and it seems to not ever get any better. But you kind of realize how long change takes, and seeing students with new ideas and new energy is really inspiring and reassuring that there are people to continue the work, and that we at some point can move the needle. So at the Institute, we get to support students both financially and with other resources. And that's a big part of what we do, and a big part of where we put our money. And we have different things set up so that we can really make those dollars stretch. So I think we're currently supporting more than 30 students that are studying issues that are related to our mission. But it's fun to see them go on to do different things, whether it's creating a startup for sustainable ag, things like that. So I also find hope in these success stories, and what we learn along the way. We have more data and more tools available to us now more than ever, and lots of young people that are engaged in the process. And from the ag standpoint, lots of growers that are eager to try things out and be part of the solution. So why it can be easy to get down about these big problems, it's also really inspiring to talk with people and talk with students, and they're really bringing this new energy to things and in solving problems. So that's what gives me hope.
We have just a few minutes left here. I do want to make sure, especially since this is our last one, and you all were so kind to join us for 2 of the panels. I did want to make sure that I give each of our panelists a chance to kind of let folks watching know if they'd like to learn more about your organization or some of these issues, how they can reach out or where they can go if they want to get involved in helping in any way. So we can just kind of go through in that same order.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking your time to be here, both the panelists, but also you attending this panel. And obviously it shows that you care a little bit about hope and issues that are not just. And if you want to reach out to us at the Hope Venture at all, you can Google thehopeventure.org. You can also contact me. I'm the director and founder, Cincy Peterson. It's kind of a weird name, CYNCI. It's Cincy at thehopeventure.org, or if you want to write this down, you can text me anytime. It's 402-802-8296. Just shoot me a text, and if you want to grab lunch and find out more, or coffee sometime, yeah, we're desirous to help people know how they can make a difference. I'm a teacher and developer at heart, and I really love helping people know you can make a difference. So any of you sitting in this panel today, if you want to know how you can make a difference in these specific areas, I know a lot of us do more locally, and but we do some of these issues globally. And if you want to have a part with that with us, we'd love to help you get involved.
Thank you. Carolina?
Well, I'm in Omaha. Yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to be here, and also for those who are listening and they will have a chance to listen this presentation. I think I invite anyone that would like to visit ISC. Of course, we have a policy right now. Everybody has to wear a mask, but we're open. If anyone would like to join us and be part of what we do to change the lives of all seniors in the community, we love that. Many opportunities to volunteer or to donate, or, there's options, because I think as an organization, we hope that more and more people will learn about all what we do here. I can say is that it is hard for all of us to embrace this new world, and but we have hope that we'll get better, and we hope that as an organization that I'm here for, representing ISC, that people will come up more and learn more about all what we do. And if it's anyone would like to reach out to me too for any ideas or anything that you have, you can do it too. Or check our website, which is interculturalseniorcenter.org, or they can reach out to me directly under Carolina P at interculturalseniorcenter.org. We have a long website and names to connect with, but just like Cindy said, if anyone cares to take my phone number, is 402-444-6529. That's a number where you can reach me out. And even to all of you, invite you someday to come and visit. I would love to see you in person. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Abby, for coordinating all of these sessions. I know it's not easy, having done it myself. So thanks for organizing all this. And it's also fun to learn about other organizations in our community. So thanks to the other two on the panel. We don't have volunteer opportunities or anything like that. But I'm going to put a video in the chat that explains a little bit more about what we do as an institute, just so you can be aware of that, I guess. I think we're kind of, sometimes I feel like maybe we're more well-known globally than in our own backyard. So we just like to get the word out about what we do and opportunities that we have for students and researchers and things like that. So I don't have any big call to action, I guess, for those on the call, but thank you for attending this and caring about this exhibition. And I guess I just wanted to end on one note, and it's the 40 Chances title. We often actually talk about that farmers have usually have 40 harvests in their lifetime. So I think that's part of where that title came from. And so, that when you think about it, 40 harvests is not a very long time. And so we try to make all of those harvests count and be the most effective that we can. And also in Nebraska, we are blessed with lots of water. We sit on an aquifer. And so our mission is to keep that safe and make best use of that, while also feeding people and doing all the things we do with crops. So thanks for including us, even though we're a little bit out of the box, I guess, on this session. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly the premise of the exhibit. And it's exciting to think about what we can all do with our 40 chances and how we can help other people take advantage of their 40 chances. So I'm super grateful to you all. If you have not seen the exhibit, as we're recording this and doing this live, it is January 27th. So the exhibit closes on this Sunday, January 30th. So we do hope you'll come check it out. There's also, as we mentioned in earlier panels, an accompanying book. So if you don't get a chance to see the exhibit, you can check out the photography that way. And we do very much encourage you to check out some of the organizations that participated in these panels. So thank you all again. Have a great rest of your day.